Up to this moment, something inside you has already been stirring. You may not have had language for it, but you felt it in the pauses between your thoughts, in the heaviness of certain emotions rising without explanation, in the sense that time itself has been behaving differently around you. You did not arrive here by accident. You were guided. And now that you are here, what unfolds next is critical, because a silent shift has already begun, one that does not announce itself with chaos or spectacle, but with stillness so deep it rearranges the inner architecture of those who are meant to feel it. January 24th is not marked by alarms in the world outside. No headlines, no warnings, no visible disruption. And yet, beneath the surface of collective awareness, something irreversible moves. A subtle energetic threshold is crossed, and only a specific frequency of individuals can register it. If you are watching this, if your attention has been pulled here with an unusual intensity, it is because your system is already responding, not intellectually, energetically. You are not imagining this, and you are not alone in it. There are moments in human experience when destiny does not arrive loudly. It arrives quietly, almost respectfully, waiting to see who is awake enough to notice. This is one of those moments. Over the next 48 hours, intuition sharpens without effort, emotions surface without permission, old timelines loosen their grip. You may feel disoriented, unusually tired, or profoundly clear all at once. These contradictions are not symptoms of confusion, they are indicators of transition. Something is stepping out of alignment so that something truer can take its place. So far, you have likely lived with a persistent sense of being different, not better, not superior, just misaligned with the rhythms most people seem comfortable moving within. You may have learned early how to observe rather than participate, how to feel deeply without being able to explain why, how to carry an inner knowing that never fully translated into words. Up to now, that knowing may have felt like a burden, like isolation, like waiting without knowing what you were waiting for. Now, that waiting is ending. This shift does not demand action from you. It requires recognition, the kind that happens when your body reacts before your mind catches up. A quiet tightening in the chest, a sudden stillness, a sense of being addressed personally, even though no one has spoken your name. This is how chosen timelines activate, not through force, but through resonance. If you feel an unusual pull to stay with this message, to remain present rather than distracted, that is not coincidence. Engagement in moments like this is not about algorithms or platforms. It is an energetic commitment, a signal. If it feels right, anchor yourself here. You may choose to affirm it quietly, or you may choose to write it into existence by commenting a simple phrase such as, "I am ready." Not for me, but for yourself. These moments respond to consent. What makes this shift different is its subtlety. In past cycles, awakening arrived through breakdown, through loss, through disruption. This one arrives through clarity, through a gentle but undeniable internal realignment. You may notice that certain conversations suddenly feel hollow, certain ambitions lose their charge, certain relationships feel complete, even without closure. This is not detachment, it is precision. Your system is recalibrating toward truth. Astrologically, the sky does not shout during this window, it whispers, the kind of whisper that only those already listening can hear. There is a convergence happening between inner perception and cosmic timing, but it does not ask you to study charts or memorize symbols. You experience it instead as heightened intuition, vibrant dreams, sudden insights that feel downloaded rather than thought. You may wake at unusual hours with a sense that something is unfolding, even if you cannot yet name it. Emotionally, this can feel intense, Old memories may surface, tears may come without narrative. You may feel both grief and relief moving through you simultaneously. This is not regression, this is release. When a timeline closes, it does not vanish quietly. It returns energy that was once invested in survival, confusion, and self-doubt. That energy must move somewhere. Right now, it is moving through you. You were never meant to force your purpose into existence. Purpose is not something you chase. It is something that reveals itself when the noise clears. And over the next 48 hours, the noise is thinning. This is why distractions feel heavier, why silence feels charged, why you may feel an unspoken urgency without panic attached to it. The urgency is not fear-based, it is alignment-based. There is a reason this shift feels personal. Chosen ones do not awaken en masse. They awaken in sequence, quietly, often privately, often without validation, until moments like this when recognition becomes possible. You are not being told that you were chosen, you are remembering it. And remembrance always carries a strange mixture of familiarity and disbelief. As this section comes to a close, notice what is happening in your body, not what you think about it, what you feel. The stillness, the anticipation, the subtle sense that something irreversible has already begun, because it has. And in the next section, what you are about to realize will deepen this awareness in a way that cannot be undone. Stay present. This is only the beginning. So far, you've begun to understand that this moment is not random. Something subtle has already shifted, and even if you could not fully explain it, your inner world has been responding. Up to this point, awareness has been awakening quietly, like a light slowly filling a room you did not realize was dark. Now, what unfolds next is critical, because the shift you are experiencing does not stop at perception. It begins to interact with reality itself. This is the moment when the timeline starts responding to you. You may notice it first through small, almost dismissible events. A message arrives at the exact moment you were thinking of someone. A memory resurfaces just as you were about to repeat an old pattern. A delay, a cancellation, a sudden change of plan that initially feels frustrating, yet later reveals itself as protection. These are not coincidences, they are recalibrations. When your internal frequency changes, the external world must adjust to meet it. What makes the next 48 hours unusually intense is that the boundary between intention and outcome becomes thinner. Thoughts carry more weight, emotions move faster, intuition sharpens to a point where ignoring it feels physically uncomfortable. This can be unsettling, especially if you are used to doubting yourself. But doubt is no longer sustainable on this timeline. It creates friction, and friction is now being exposed. Up to this moment, you may have felt as though life was happening to you. Circumstances arriving without warning, lessons repeating themselves, progress followed by unexplained setbacks. That experience belonged to an older energetic sequence, one in which you were learning discernment through resistance. Now the lesson changes. The universe begins to respond not to what you tolerate, but to what you align with. This is why emotional sensitivity increases. You are no longer buffered from misalignment. When something is not meant for you, your system registers it immediately. Fatigue, irritation, a sudden loss of interest. Conversely, when something is aligned, you may feel an inexplicable calm, even if it challenges you. This is not mood fluctuation, it is guidance. There is a reason this feels intense for chosen ones. You are not merely moving forward, you are collapsing multiple potential futures into one decisive path. In quantum terms, possibility narrows when observation becomes conscious. You are observing yourself more clearly now, and that clarity changes which outcomes remain viable. Dreams during this period carry symbolic weight. You may dream of doors, bridges, journeys, water, or unfinished conversations. These are not predictions, they are integrations. Your subconscious is processing what your conscious mind is still catching up to. Pay attention not to the literal imagery, but to how you feel when you wake. Restless, relieved, alert, charged. These emotions are signals. There is also a sense, subtle but persistent, that time itself is behaving differently. Moments stretch, days compress. You may feel as though you are simultaneously behind and ahead of schedule. This is what happens when an internal shift precedes external confirmation. You are early, and being early can feel lonely until the timeline catches up. What is important now is restraint, not urgency. Chosen ones often feel compelled to act immediately when awareness heightens, to announce, to decide, to sever, to begin. But this phase is not about visible action, it is about internal coherence. The more stable your inner alignment becomes, the more decisively reality will rearrange without force. If you feel drawn to remain with this message, to continue watching rather than drifting away, that is not accidental. Staying present during a timeline shift anchors it more deeply. You may feel called to subscribe, to comment, or simply to sit with what is being said. These gestures are not obligations, they are affirmations of readiness, signals that say, I am aware, I am participating. There may also be a sense of grief arising without a clear source. Grief for versions of yourself that survived rather than lived. Grief for time spent waiting. Grief for connections that cannot come with you. This grief is not regression, it is release. You cannot carry old identities into a new frequency. They dissolve, and dissolution often feels like mourning. You are not losing anything essential. You are shedding what was provisional. The universe does not test chosen ones with punishment. It tests them with precision. Every emotional reaction you experience now is information. Every hesitation reveals a place where alignment is still forming. This is not a failure, it is feedback. And feedback, when received without resistance, accelerates transformation. As this section closes, you may feel a growing sense of anticipation, not anxiety, but expectancy, as though something is leaning toward you from the future, waiting for you to meet it halfway. That feeling is accurate, because the next phase of this shift doesn't simply respond to who you are, it reveals why you were prepared for this moment all along. And in the next part, what surfaces may challenge how you have understood your past, your sensitivity, and your role in ways that permanently change your sense of direction. Stay with it. The timeline is listening now. Up to this moment, something essential has begun to clarify. You've felt the shift, you've noticed reality responding, and you may now sense that what's happening is not new. It is familiar in a way that reaches far back into your life. Now, what unfolds next is critical, because this phase reveals why you were never random, never misplaced, and never prepared, even when it felt that way. This is the point in the journey where memory begins to reorganize itself. You may suddenly recall moments from your past that never made sense at the time, periods of isolation, emotional intensity that felt disproportionate to your circumstances, a deep sensitivity to environments, people, and unspoken undercurrents, times when you felt older than your age or strangely detached from ambitions others seemed desperate to pursue. These were not flaws, they were early calibrations. Chosen ones are rarely initiated through ease, they are refined through contrast. Your nervous system learned early how to read energy because it had to. Your intuition strengthened because logic alone was never enough to navigate what you were sensing. Even confusion served a function. It taught you how to sit with uncertainty without collapsing. Now that truth has surfaced, something begins to click. You were not delayed, you were being conditioned. There is often a quiet grief that accompanies this realization, a recognition that much of what you endured was never meant to be permanent, only preparatory. You may feel anger briefly, at time, at circumstance, at yourself for not understanding sooner. Let that emotion move. It is part of the integration. Resentment dissolves when purpose becomes visible. What makes this phase delicate is that it reframes your identity. You are no longer someone waiting to be chosen. You are someone recognizing that you already were. And recognition carries responsibility, not obligation, but clarity. You begin to sense that your presence itself has weight, that the way you listen, speak, and move through the world affects more than you previously allowed yourself to believe. This is why sensitivity increases rather than fade. Awakening does not numb you, it refines you. You become less tolerant of distortion, less willing to betray your inner truth for comfort or belonging. This can feel destabilizing at first. Old coping mechanisms lose effectiveness, old narratives fall apart, but what replaces them is coherence. There is also a shift in how you experience intuition. It no longer feels like a fragile whisper you must strain to hear. It arrives with steadiness, with neutrality, with a sense of inevitability. You may find yourself knowing things without emotional charge attached. That calm certainty is not detachment, it is alignment. During this window, you may feel drawn to silence more than stimulation, to reflection rather than distraction. This is not withdrawal, it is consolidation. When an identity upgrades, energy must reallocate. You are not disappearing from the world, you are re-entering it differently. It is common now to feel as though you are standing between versions of yourself, the old one still familiar, the new one not yet fully embodied. This in-between space can feel uncomfortable, even lonely, but it is sacred. It is the corridor between. Up to this moment, you've begun to remember yourself. The confusion has started to reorganize into clarity, and the weight you once carried without explanation is revealing its purpose. Now, what unfolds next is critical, because preparation alone was never the destination. Preparation exists for activation, and activation, once it begins, cannot be reversed. This is the point where something inside you moves from recognition into embodiment. You may feel it as a quiet internal click, a moment where hesitation dissolves, not because fear disappears, but because truth becomes louder than doubt. This is not a dramatic awakening, it is a grounded one, the kind that settles into your body and changes how you stand, how you speak, how you choose, the kind that does not ask for permission. Activation does not arrive with instructions, it arrives with alignment. Suddenly, certain choices feel inevitable, certain paths close without resistance, certain invitations appear at precisely the moment you are ready to accept them. This is not luck, it is response. When your frequency stabilizes, the universe meets you with precision. Emotionally, this phase can feel overwhelming. There may be moments of deep gratitude, followed by waves of grief. Gratitude for clarity, grief for what you can no longer unsee. Once activated, you cannot return to unconscious participation. You move forward with awareness, and awareness changes everything. If you are feeling an unusual intensity right now, stay with it. Do not rush to neutralize it. Intensity is not danger, it is energy finding direction. Breathe into it. Let it move through you. This is how activation anchors itself, through presence, not avoidance. There is also a subtle responsibility emerging here, not the kind imposed by expectation, but the kind that arises naturally when you realize your sensitivity is not incidental. You may sense that your words carry more impact now, that your presence affects rooms, that people respond to you differently, even if they cannot explain why. This is not ego, it is awareness of influence. Chosen ones are not activated to dominate or instruct. They are activated to stabilize, to hold clarity where there is confusion, to embody coherence in environments that have forgotten it. Often, this work is quiet. Often, it is unseen, but it is essential. If at this point you feel a pull to acknowledge this activation, to mark it in some way, follow that impulse. Engagement here is not symbolic, it is anchoring. When you choose to subscribe, to comment, or simply to stay present through this message, you are signaling readiness. You are saying, I am here. I am willing to carry what I have remembered. You may choose to write a phrase such as, I accept this shift, not as a declaration to anyone else, but as an agreement with yourself. Language matters, intention matters, and moments like this respond to both. This is also where discernment sharpens. Not everything that feels spiritual is aligned. Not every invitation is meant for you. Activation heightens perception, but it also demands honesty. You will feel when something resonates, and you will feel just as clearly when it does not. Trust that clarity. It is not harsh, it is protective. As this activation settles, you may notice a calm confidence replacing urgency. You are no longer searching for signs. You are recognizing them as they appear. You are no longer waiting for permission. You are moving with inner consent. And yet, this is not the end. Activation is a threshold, not a conclusion. What follows is anchoring, bringing this awareness into your daily life, your choices, your sense of direction. In the final part, we will bring this journey to a close in a way that seals what has begun, ensuring it does not fade, but integrates. For now, remain here. Let the activation stabilize. Let the emotion move. You did not miss this moment. You arrived exactly when you were meant to.